Cisco show. Hey, don't touch that dial. We got a great show today. The first show of the season. Okay, right here at Northtown High School TV room. And ladies and gentlemen, don't touch that dial. We only got a half-hour show. Be no commercials. There'll be no profanity. Okay? There'll be no nudity. And it's going to talk about Northtown. We're going to talk about a new book that was just published. And we got the editor, the guy that wrote the book, you know. So, but you know, I just come here. I was having breakfast this morning. What do I see in the Times Herald? First thing, here, the East Norton Middle School is going to get $5,000 to buy $5,000 worth of new books for the library. We're talking about books, you know. It's so important. You know, I'm going to quote some famous people. Harry Truman, President of the United States. What's new? The history we haven't read. The books which help you the most are those which make you think the most. Think about that, right? And there's no friend so faithful as a good book, and there's no worse robber than a bad book. It's an Italian proverb, my goombas, you know? It's pretty good, you know, I think bad. People are usually better. The people are not usually better than the books they read. So you read a good book, you're going to be good. You read a bad book, you're going to be bad. No problem. And then here's my mom. My mom used to say, tell me who you travel with, I'll tell you who you are. That's in the book. That's a Cisco book. That's my mama. Okay. And it's not how much you know. It's not how, I'm sorry, let me get back to this. It's not how much, but how well you read. You know, it's all about books. So, and I'll tell you, I got some more one-liners, you know. But my guest today, ladies and gentlemen, weighing 145 pounds from Norristown, Pennsylvania, it's Stan Huskey, the editor of Northtown Times Herald, and also published this book. Okay, so welcome to the Cisco Show. Now,
having me on?
You wrote a book.
I did.
Why did you write a book? What made you come up with this? You know, Norristown, you know, is the county seat.
It is the county seat, and there's a lot of history here. So
right.
I thought it'd be a great idea to record some of that history, and what better way to do it than in a book?
Right.
We do it every day in the Times Herald.
Right.
We record history, but I thought let me go back and record some of the early history.
Okay, so tell me something about what are some of the key things? I mean, no, the book would have to be this thick if you try to cover everything.
Absolutely.
So you covered what you thought was important to you, right? Well, what's some of the basic things?
You're absolutely right. I mean, the history of this town is pretty extensive. Some of the things I found it very interesting was the man who the town is named after. The research that Isaac Norris. From the research,
first name was Isaac?
First name was Isaac. From the research that I've done, I can find no evidence that he ever set foot in town.
Oh, come on now. That sounds like, you know, I mean, tell me,
I don't
they
think
named the town after a guy that never was here?
He never, I don't think he ever, I know he never lived here. I don't even know if he was ever here.
Oh.
What he did was he bought the land.
Oh, okay.
He bought the land from William Penn, Jr.
William Penn?
William Penn, Jr.
But he had a son?
William Penn had a son, William Penn, Jr.
See, I'm learning something, right? Go ahead.
Well, William Penn Jr. must have been in some trouble or something, because 5 days...
He was a delinquent?
He must have been, because 5 days after he got the land from William Penn, he sold it to Isaac Norris and Isaac Norris's partner.
Wow.
Yeah, so something was going on, and he sold it for about a quarter of what it was worth.
But I guess it was all farmland, I guess, right? The
yes.
railroad and the river. Schuylkill River, I guess, played a big part, you know.
Well, when Isaac Norris bought it, basically the Lenape Indians were living here. So it was very little farmland. There was some farmland on out, but not right on the banks of the Schuylkill. The Lenape were living here.
Yeah. Well, okay. What else? How about, you talked about some of the schools in Norristown. I remember way back.
I go back to the first school that was ever in Norristown. It was built on a piece of land dedicated, or actually given to Norristown by the University of Pennsylvania. Because the University of Pennsylvania owned a lot of land in Norristown, actually.
Oh, yeah?
They actually donated the public square.
Wow.
which is the area down between
Right down Main Street.
between DeKalb and Swede.
Right, right.
Well, that was all the public square and all dedicated and supposed to remain public forever. Majority of it is still public area. We have some monuments down there and things like that. So the first public schoolhouse was built there on that piece of land.
Well, I think the oldest schoolhouse that I remember would be the area in Cherry Street. Was a small school. I remember when I was a police officer. I think 1951. I was a police officer.
That is the oldest school still standing.
It's still there, and that's a bar association now.
It's a Montgomery Bar Association.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. But, you know, there's a lot of people, they don't really know about Norristown. And I think this book really brought out a lot about, and some of the athletes and some of the people that helped build this town, you know, contractors, electricians, and sports guys, you know, and you go through this book, tell us about some of them. I know Josh Colbreth, who was an Olympic runner, you know.
Olympic bronze
Charlie
medalist.
Bloxon.
Charlie Bloxon.
Played football for Norristown High School, went to Penn State. Now he writes Black history. Known all over the world.
He is world-renowned.
Born and raised in Norristown, where the seed dropped.
Born and raised in Norristown, yep. His collection is housed at Temple University. It's considered probably the largest in the world of African-American artifacts. And I was lucky enough to get an interview with him. It's in the book.
You interviewed him?
I interviewed him for the book. I got
to get him on my show. I'm going to grab him, pull him over here. Go ahead.
Lucky enough to interview him. Jerry Spinelli is from Norristown, famous children's author. Wrote the Maniac McGee books.
I think you have a picture of him in there. Go ahead.
There's a picture. There's a picture of Charlie Bloxon in there as well.
Yeah, this is...
That's Jerry Spinelli.
Spinelli, yeah. And he writes books on...
He writes children's books.
Right, okay.
In his books, Norristown becomes two mills. That's what he calls Norristown.
How about this girl, Raymond, Lisa Raymond, a tennis player?
Was born in Norristown, didn't spend a lot of time here, but...
She's Olympic.
Professional. She's a professional tennis player, yep.
Yeah.
In fact, she was just playing this past year over in King of Prussia.
Yeah, right. Big. Oh, here's Tony Darden, Norristown High School.
Would have been
a former councilman.
Former councilman,
former
president.
My buddy.
Former president of council, would have been an Olympic great. However, he was set to run the Olympics in 1980 when Jimmy Carter boycotted the Olympics.
Yeah. Now, here is a classic picture. Josh Colbreth, Skag Copman, and Jesse Owens.
That's a fantastic
picture. Jesse
picture.
Owens, one of the greatest. He's the guy that was running over there in Germany during the Olympics. And Adolf Hitler was mad.
Adolf
I
Hitler
don't know,
was
black
upset
guy
about
wouldn't know over here, you know. But he won, man. He beat them all, you know.
I was lucky enough to interview Josh. Great guy. Lives out in Las Vegas. Fantastic memory. Josh Colbreth.
Oh, yeah?
He, now, if you have any old folks on here who are watching the show, which there might be a couple, and was ever a big fan of the Cosby Show.
Oh.
Because, you know, Bill Cosby's a big Temple University alum.
Oh, yeah, Temple.
And he often talks about the Penn relays.
Yeah.
Well, he had a recurring role on the Cosby Show. Josh Colbreth was Tailwind Turner. If you remember the shows, he talked to you, this guy that you'd come on the show called Tailwind Turner. That was actually Josh Colbreth.
Oh, how about that?
And he was on the show a few times.
He was a good speaker for banquets and all. But, you know, here's his guy. I happen to know this guy, man. This is me. That's me over here. And it's my brother Tony. He was a middleweight champion, fought 3 world champions. And he come out of, well, he had retired. And I was just fighting, I think it was my first or second pro fight. And we put an exhibition on at the Armory down there where the PAL's located now for St. Francis, for a fundraiser. And, you know, my brother Tony was a slugger. He'd get in there, bah, 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 you know, and I was sort of a stand-up guy, you know. And my father was sitting ringside. But see, a slugger, he has to get in and slug, you know, like Rocky Marciano or Mike Tyson. You know, you can't hold them guys back. They just throw, you know. And so what happened, I hit my brother a good shot in the nose, you know. He come at me, you know, and my father had to jump in the ring and stop him. But, you know, this book is just loaded with different things. Go ahead now. But I would advise, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have different people, businessmen, that come into Norristown, and they don't know anything about Norristown. Oh, you know, they talk bad about this or that, the other. But let me tell you, Norristown has history, and we are in the middle of it redeveloping. We're talking about, you're right up front trying to get a theater here in Norristown, art theater, not a movie theater. Yeah, right. So go ahead, what else now?
I do talk about a lot of the architecture in Norristown. I don't know if anybody is interested in architecture, but there's some really fascinating old buildings in Norristown. Now, when I was doing the research for it, it came to the surface that there aren't a lot, as old as Norristown is. It was founded in 1784. 1815, I'm sorry. Don't let me get the dates wrong. The county was founded in 1784.
I can't correct you because I wasn't great in math.
County was founded in 1784. But as old as the town is, you'll find very few examples of colonial architecture.
Oh, yeah.
Because what happened was, when General Howe, the British general, came through during the Revolutionary War, he burned a lot of the buildings.
Wow.
A lot of the buildings were burnt down.
There were some mean guys. I think maybe they had a half a load on or something. Maybe they go out and joined up.
Burned the buildings down?
I don't know.
Sure.
Who knows?
But the best I can figure is he probably made his encampment in Norristown at the public square.
Right there at the square.
The architecture that followed is still pretty fascinating as well. A lot of Victorian structures, a lot of the buildings from the turn of the 19th century are still standing in Norristown.
Right. And right now that's right there. Now they have the police memorial, and they also have the Vietnam memorial there.
Right.
And also there's another from the 9/11, the statue, the part of the building is up there at the courthouse. I think Sheriff Duran is the one that helped got that part of the structure of the Twin Towers, So we have a lot. I want Dr. Grafey, she's the top person on radiation for cancer. When I had my getting radiation for my prostate cancer, and she spent over 20 years in Norristown. She lives in the main line. She come to Montgomery Hospital, but she never really went around Norristown. So I picked her up to bring her over here to my show, and we were going through some back streets. So on the way back, she says, "Will you drive me through Norristown?" She says, "I never saw so many beautiful buildings, They are. You live here, and we don't realize, but you realize and look at, appreciate some of the structure, some of these buildings along DeKalb Street and, even Main Street, in different, balconies and bay, what do they call them, bay windows or something?
The turrets.
And the structure. You go down in the suburbs now, you see all these houses, they all look alike.
They all look the same.
If a guy gets a half a load on, how's he going to find his house? They all look alike. He's going to get bombed, So that happened one time when I was a policeman. He moved out one of them houses out there in a settlement, and he was only married a short period of time, and I don't know what happened. He had a load on, he come home, and the door was locked. And he got mad. He thought his wife locked him out, So he breaks the door down. Well, he was in the wrong house, But that's another story. So, okay, what else? What else on this book now? How about we cover sports? What else we got?
What do you want to know? The architecture, the history of the town, how it was founded. I take it all the way up to today.
Here's Charlie Bloxon. It's great.
That's a good picture of Charlie Bloxon.
Great runner, great historian. In fact, I think they got a separate section in Norristown, the Norristown Montgomery County Library, about his black history.
Yes.
Yeah, great guy. Here's Brazilla's Bakery. They used to bake bakery down there on the Main and Walnut Street.
Classic example of a success story. He was an Italian immigrant, came to Norristown with basically nothing.
Right.
Started selling bread out of his house.
Yeah.
Then went over pretty well, and he bought a truck. A few years later, as you can see, he had half a dozen trucks, and he bought a building down on Main Street, which is still there.
Right. Yeah. You'll see part of that Brazil is cut in half there, if you go by there.
Norristown at one time was absolutely loaded with manufacturing plants. I got a book from former state representative John Victor. And one of them that he gave me was a Sanborn map. And in that map, it was from 1860, I believe, it was an insurance map. So it listed all these different buildings. And just incredible that at that time, Norristown probably had 40 manufacturing plants.
Wow.
40 mills, 3 cigar factories.
No kidding. Now you have cigars, they don't want you to smoke.
3 breweries, What I found really interesting was there were only 2 stores. And the best I could figure is if you wanted something back then, you went to wherever it was they made it.
Corner store, right.
You went to wherever it was they made it. If you
Right.
wanted the cigars, you went to the cigar factory and you bought them. If you wanted socks, you went to the hosiery, the mill, and
Right.
you bought them.
Yeah, we had, right down on Main Street, the Rainbow and Riegers, and then there was Herbert Hosiery
Rainbow and
Mill.
Rieger is still here.
And I used to go there, and buy six stockings at a time, all different colors, But they had almost, I think that, they had bakery. I remember where I lived on Chestnut Street, there was like 4 or 5 different bakeries, the pastry, and there was a German bakery, an Italian bakery, it was so many mixtures, it was a great town, and it's going to be the best. It is the best.
Well, you were talking about the Rainbow and Rieger Mill, now that is that's been refurbished by Gretz Beverage Company and is now offices. The old Conaluna Macaroni Factory is being refurbished and is going to be used for offices again. So some companies are coming back in and they're seeing these great buildings that are rock solid. And they're deciding to keep them instead of just tearing them down and refurbish them for offices.
And here's the county prison there on across the street from the post office.
County prison is still there. That's actually the second county prison. Everybody talks about the old county prison, which it is the old county prison, but it's actually the second one. The first one was a small building that was built on the side where the courthouse is now.
I think.
And they had to make way for the new courthouse, so they ended up moving that, tearing that one down, and building the new prison across the street at Erie.
I think, if I remember reading when I was a policeman, I think they hung a guy there, prisoner. They was executed.
I wouldn't doubt that a bit.
Yeah, well, they did it, so I was in that, I'll tell you, man, that's one job I want to see. Then they had the dungeon downstairs for the guys, the real bad guys,
Right.
And, but they're talking about making a museum or something out of that. It's a beautiful structure, building,
I'll tell you what I'd like to see happen. I'd like to see it turn it into just like they do with Eastern State Penitentiary down in Philadelphia. They have turned that into a haunted house, which is what's better than an old prison for a haunted house.
Yeah.
But now they do so many things all throughout the year. Eastern State Penitentiary is turning into like a destination point, I guess. Throughout the year, they do the storming of the Bastille on July 14th, I think it is. So they're doing programming throughout the year now, for a good part of it anyway. So I think that building would be perfect for
that is book now. Here's some more pictures, some basketball players. Where can we get this? Now, if I'm going to buy this book, okay, we have them on sale at different places, right?
You can go to Amazon.com and buy it. You can go to a lot of the stores around town have it.
Greco-Roman restaurant up in Trooper, they have it on
They have
sale.
it.
Trap the bookstores.
Trap Book Company has it. A lot of the whatever local bookstores would probably carry it. Some friends of mine are carrying it, like Alfredo's restaurant. He's carrying it.
Yeah, they got them there too. And here's Tommy Lasorda, right? And also
That's Bobby Wine.
Bobby Wine. He played for the Phillies, right?
Yes.
Right.
Played for and coach.
Right.
Oh, Bobby did, not Tommy.
This is Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
Did he play for the Phillies? I think he
Maybe
tried out.
originally drafted, but maybe AAA ball.
I don't know if he played it or I think he was down there and got a tryout or something.
He definitely got the tryout. He went down with Bobby Shantz, and that's in the book. I was lucky enough to get an interview with Tommy as well.
And here, on the corner of Chestnut and DeKalb, is the YWCA, that young women's.
Unfortunately, that building is no longer there.
Right, no, that's a CVS there now.
Right.
And they had swimming pool there, indoor swimming pool, a basketball court. There's a lot of things that where people go and do things, but now there's not that many. So we have to start, reevaluating, doing more things. Here's the YMCA. This was the corner there in DeKalb Street, right off the corner where City Hall was next to where I worked, the police officer. But here's the Moose up at Main Street, Main and around Horse Avenue.
That's the old Gresh Mansion.
That's a mansion.
That was the old Gresh Mansion, W.K. Gresh.
Where'd he make his money?
The cigar factory.
Huh?
The cigar factory. He was a cigar manufacturer. And the old cigar factory apartments is still down at Marshall and I guess that's Corson, right off of Markley.
I'm supposed to cough this way, right?
Yes, no longer cough in your hands.
No more? Okay. I'm getting over a little bit, I was hitting on a couple cylinders for a couple days. All right, what else? Oh, here's old Montgomery Hospital, right? Wasn't it?
That was the original Charity Hospital.
Charity, yeah.
Charity Hospital, which eventually became Montgomery Hospital.
Right, right. And that, I remember a little bit. When I used to drive the emergency wagon, and we went into the receiving ward. And the receiving ward, right next to the receiving ward here, and then was the hallway, and then was a door. And little did I know it was the morgue. I never was in a morgue. I was a policeman. I never knew. I never saw in the movies the morgue was a spooky place, Oh, my God. And my sergeant, he wanted to break me in, He says, come on, we'll go into the morgue. I said, I want to show up tough. I went in there, see all these dead bodies, Whew! Shook me up a little bit, but it was sort of a learning process, But now the hospital is developing. I understand it's going to move out. They're going to have a new hospital out in East Norton.
New hospital in East Norton.
Do you think we have any input on anything about what's going to go there? What would be good to replace that?
Well, there's a lot of different things you could obviously do with that. In fact, there's a group in right now from Clemson University came in, and they are actually doing a study on...
No kidding.
On basically all of Norristown, but they're also going to focus on Montgomery Hospital and what could be there when the hospital moves out. Obviously, a satellite campus for Montgomery County Community College might not be a bad idea, at least run some classes out of there. A business campus of some kind.
I would like to see that. It's the same thing. I had a lot to do with recommending when Rittenhouse Junior High School closed down, and they have a nursing home there now. And I had one around the neighborhood and petitioned, that it was okay to put it there, And now people can go visit someone in a nursing home. They don't have to get on an airplane, or they don't have to get on a long bus ride.
Right.
They come right here in Norristown and visit your loved ones, And there's a lot of different changes, a lot of things, And then we're talking about books, okay? And that's what the whole thing's about, a book, So a book should be one of those you read that. Read that.
This says books should be... Well, there's a typo here. I'm sorry.
Is it?
It's the editor in me.
Okay.
I guess
okay.
because this says books should to one of these. So I'm guessing this means books should be one of these four ends.
All right.
Sure. That's not even a real word.
Wait a minute. Okay. A man's character is shown by the books he reads. Read a good book, you got to be strong. You learn how to box, boom. You learn how to eat, learn how to cook, right?
Learn how to read.
To you. Okay, now what else? A house is no home unless it contains food and fire for the mind as well as the body.
What's that have to do with books?
Read the book about Norristown. What else?
What did that last one have to do about books?
I don't know. What's the difference?
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, I have to talk, my greatest hero is my mother and father, right? Heroes. My mother would read, my mother could read and write in Italian, very good, and she could read English a little bit, And she would read the newspaper to my father, espresso. And my father learned how to read one word at a time. My mother would read to him, then she would go back, So, it's just something. And let me see, this, that's another one. Oh, it's never too late to educate yourself. Start reading newspapers, books, commercials, and you'll keep your mind active. Does it make sense?
Sure it does.
Does it make sense? Cameraman, make sense? Yeah, okay, thumbs up on that one. Okay, how about the last one here? What's that last one?
Last one says you can get yourself in good physical and mental condition by reading books on health, diets, lives of saints and presidents, etc. Read how they became so famous.
Am I right? You
Yeah,
learned something from, you want to learn how to, how did this guy become famous, some
Well, a
of the
lot of
things.
these you have that by people who said it. I think you said Winston Churchill on one of them. Who said this?
I don't know, anonymous.
That's the anonymous?
I'm not putting my name to it.
Oh, okay.
That's not original. But, so, one of the greatest things that can happen is that we take pride in our community. We take pride with the people we work with, the people that we love, and we can we can get along better, I think, if we educate ourselves. Just
Absolutely.
like, I was so happy to see the Times Herald this morning where the East Norton Middle School gets $5,000 to buy some books, you know. We're not buying bullets and gas masks and guns and everything. There's something to educate the people. That's what we're going to do. Put
Sure.
that money in the mine, put it over there so we can bob and weave and slip and slide, right?
Absolutely.
I know one guy said, don't worry about the mule going blind, get in the wagon, hold the line, okay? Now, why did you write this book? I mean, you know, tell me something about yourself now. You're from where?
Originally from Tennessee.
Tennessee.
But I
You're all
tell you
from
what,
Tennessee now, man. Right.
If I live here a few more years, I'm going to have to start saying I'm from Pennsylvania. I've been here so long. So,
right.
um,
How about your mom? Your mom, right? What?
no, mother's still alive, living in Tennessee. I get to go back and see her every year. Obviously, education was big in our household and something that she always pushed. You know, you asked why I wrote the book. Again, you asked me that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I did ask him, but ask you again,
You're going to ask me
in
again
case you forgot.
Well, I'm going to give you a different answer this time.
Go ahead.
I think it's important for us to remember history. Because
That's what President Truman said.
well, you're doomed to repeat it if you don't.
You haven't read.
One, you don't want to repeat some mistakes. And Norristown has made some mistakes over the year. I do believe it's coming back, just like you'd said. You know, some of the things that Norristown left behind, just like a lot of towns. A lot of downtowns were left behind when the shopping malls came and the interstate highways came. But a lot of towns have also tried to revitalize themselves, and they're doing a pretty decent job of it. So I think Norristown can learn from that.
Yeah, you know, talking about making mistakes, everybody makes mistakes, but always remember, okay, all sunshine makes deserts. If you want a beautiful garden, you have to have the rain and the snow and the hail, and you have a beautiful garden. So that's what Norristown is. We have everything. We have all different nationalities, religions, and businesses, and you know, people come from all over to go to courthouse. They got thieves, crooks, and whatever come here to the courthouse to get straightened out and get. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the book. This is the book, and Stan Huskey wrote the book. I'm in the book, and there tells a little story about when I was boxing, you know. And Stan, it's been a pleasure. And
thanks for having me on.
We're going to keep bobbing and weaving, and until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, God bless each and every one of you, and keep your mind full, okay? And like I said, don't worry about the mule going blind. Get in the wagon, hold the line, okay? Thank you. Right, and away we go. Right.